What if I told you that you can reduce your asthma symptoms without any surgery or medication? I'm Jeff, and I help asthmatics become more physically active because I'm an asthmatic myself. First is you need to identify the type of asthma and its severity. Knowing both of these are very important so you have an idea on what would trigger your asthma and how severe it is, because we have a different starting point. Some might have weaker lungs to start with, while others can be slightly active although they have a risk of asthma triggering while they're exercising. If we have a good understanding about our asthma and its severity, we can now avoid the triggers of that type. Some are allergic and react to certain food, some are environmental, and some are exercise-induced. So putting them both together, I want to explain to you why this phase is important. For example, if someone has a really severe asthma and they are really sensitive to pollen, so when it's pollen season, he would instantly be on hard mode when it comes to breathing outside. So we should tailor him to his ideal environment. But before we get to lung training, we should focus on the fundamentals, which is your foundational health. These are sleep, stress, and diet. These are the main things that can impact your health, which would inflame your lungs and make it swell even more. By focusing on these three important key areas of your health, your asthma symptoms will reduce and improve long term. You should have a predictable sleep schedule. You have a set time on when you wake up and when you go to bed every day. Being exposed immediately to sunlight upon waking up is the most important thing to reset your circadian rhythm. That means it would fix your sleep cycle so you can have a fixed schedule where your body tells you when to wake up and when to go to sleep. You should also stop consuming meals 3 hours before you go to bed. You can also increase your sleep quality by having a hot shower before you go to bed because it would decrease your body temperature. You would find some recommendations online that your room should be 19 degrees Celsius, but not everyone has the same tolerance around temperatures. Some people are better adapted to hotter climates, while some would swim in a freezing lake. When it comes to diet, the best thing you can do is cut out sugar and processed food. Also, these 4 foods would slightly improve your asthma. Any fish high in omega-3, turmeric, ginger, and garlic. I also found an interesting diet concept, which is to eat to get exposed to phytonutrients. And don't skip out on fruits and vegetables because they support antioxidant defenses. These have an indirect benefit for asthma control. You should have some type of controlling stress. A huge way in greatly reducing your cortisol is not watching news and avoiding controversial social media. Personally, I control stress through movement. I would go out for long walks or I would run. If I'm indoors, I would journal a lot and I would have intimate time with God. Now we have a solid foundation on our foundational health, which will greatly reduce the inflammation in our lungs. So by the time we will train our lungs, we now have a better recoverability. Because just like building muscle, our bodies won't improve when we're training, but when we're recovering. Now we can focus on our lung training. We should have controlled exercise. First is you need to select your environment. When you're starting out, you should control the environment that doesn't trigger your asthma right away. If your asthma gets easily triggered outside, then just work out at home. This step is probably the most important because you don't want to play on hard mode right away. If you work out immediately outside and you get triggered, then it will greatly decrease your motivation because every time you would work out, your asthma gets triggered instantly. An analogy I can give you is going to the gym. It's better to lift a lighter weight than constantly progress that weight rather than doing this thing as a beginner. And it's like that when you're training your lungs. Now when you're training, you should only breathe through your nose. It is because your mouth cannot filter the air. So if you breathe through your mouth, you have a higher risk of triggering asthma again. That is what you should do consistently throughout the exercise period. Before you start exercising though, you need to warm up your lungs before you exercise. A popular recommendation by doctors is walking while doing the Buteyko method. Overall, your exercise should not feel like you're pushing hard. It should just be within the slightly uncomfortable range. You can do this by having the talking test. If you can still talk comfortably in short bursts, then you're doing it enough to train your lungs, but not too much that you can't breathe. When you consistently exercise, the time will come that it will be very easy for you. That's the time when we should increase the pace, which means increasing the intensity if you feel that your airways are getting better. If ever it feels too intense, like you accidentally did too much and now your lungs can't handle it, you can recover with breathing slowly. Lastly, you should always have an asthma action plan. This will give you a guide on what to do when your asthma triggers. This will also help the people around you to know how they can support you, because during those times you can't talk properly. So it would guide them on how they should assist you. And you can present this to your doctor so both of you can plan effectively.